Welcome to the very first Power Hour, well, Power Half Hour, that we're doing here in the Amazing Jane community. So it would be lovely if you could give me a heart, a thumbs up, a high five emoji, or something to let me know that you're there and that you're on board. And any questions, comments, thoughts, feedback, anything that comes into your mind as I am chatting in the next 30 minutes, just pop it into the comments. Let me know that you can hear me and everything, and then we are good to go. So isn't this so cool, being live in this group and being able to have a chat with you? Hello, around all things menopause. So I'm going to wait a few seconds for everybody to get the notification. And as you're coming in, if you could tap, good evening, if you could tap the hearts, the little hearts, and give me some hearts. Not that I'm desperate for love or anything, but it really helps push this out into the group so more of the group members can hear it, see it, and they'll get a notification and they'll come rushing in to join me. Good evening, Samantha. Facebook is not telling me how many people are there or not, so I'm going to actually log on my phone as well so I can see it live. And if anyone can give me a quick sound check, that would be phenomenal. And if you did get a notification, that would be awesome. Fantastic. Let's have a little look. So let me go over here and let me find. Hi, Lisa Sarah. How are you? Oh, there I am. Fantastic. And I've got your comments. Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds all good. Everybody happy? Hey, Sarah Dack. How are you? Hey, Deborah. Sound good? Good, good, good. Okay. I think we're ready. Shall I crack on? Let's do it. Team, if you've not met me before, my name's Rachel Holmes. I am a fitness presenter and educator. I've got 35 years experience in the fitness industry. I started teaching it in 1987 at 17, and I'm now 52. So I've got a lot of experience with fitness. I've run all kinds of different businesses. I've got a training provider business. I'm an educator. I create different brands, concepts, class concepts for different health campaigns, and I specialize in teaching us menopausal women. I create a lot of health and fitness programs for menopausal women, perimenopause, in the throes of menopause and post-menopause, and I am on a mission to do some serious myth busting and help start the conversation, answer your questions, and give you a bit of an overview of peri to post-menopause, what you can do and how you can take your health and fitness into your own hands. There's so much you can do. There is so much you can do. And it's never been a better time ever to be a menopausal woman as it is now, because the conversation is on. We've got amazing Davina going out there on her social media, singing from the hymn sheet. We've got amazing doctors. If you don't already follow Dr. Louise Newsom, amazing crusader. She has done phenomenal work around educating women around the menopause, just phenomenal work. So definitely go and follow them, and I'm sure you follow Davina anywhere, but Davina's doing a great job and really highlighting it, talking about the conversation. She's probably a very small number of celebs who are talking openly about the menopause and their struggles and their ups and downs, which is so refreshing, and we need that. We need more women to talk about it. I have just joined. Just want to know about A. Yes, 100%. So if you are 40, you are perimenopausal. Definitely you are perimenopausal, because perimenopause means before the menopause. So I'm going to go across and talk a little bit about symptoms, because I want this to be fast-paced, give you lots of ideas and knowledge, and also signpost you where you can go and get some more information in the future or now. So it's a massive, massive topic, huge topic, as you know. But the more information you have, the more knowledgeable you are, the more empowered you are, then whether you are peri or whether you're in it or whether it's in the rear view mirror, of course, education, empowerment, it really helps you know then what's happening to your body and what you can do. And it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, because it can be very depressing. It can really have an issue with your self-confidence. But the more you know, you know that there is so much you can do for yourself and really help. So understanding, first of all, what menopause is. So menopause generally is when your periods have stopped. And that is because your eggs have started to slow down in perimenopause, your egg production. And as you come into perimenopause, that is the end of our reproducing years. When we hit menopause and you have officially not had a period for 12 months, you are menopausal, and then after that, you're postmenopausal. So officially, it's only one day, which is really bizarre, isn't it? But leading up to that point, that point when you are menopausal and then you're postmenopausal, the hormones that are declining just have this huge impact on the whole of our body, the whole system, the hormonal system, the endocrine system, how you think, how you feel. Everything is affected by the declining hormones. And the three big hormones that are declining are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And as they start to decline, then that has a big impact on all of the hormones, And every single person who's watching this video, every single hormonal and menopausal woman will experience the menopause in a very different way. Some women will just fly through, they will notice nothing, and they'll just come out the other side and just don't feel any different. They won't have any symptoms, and they'll just sail through it. Other women will notice serious symptoms that can be life-changing, that can have a huge impact. Many women will have what I call the dripping tap symptoms. So, you just kind of notice your hair's a bit thinner, your skin feels a bit drier. You may have noticed that you're putting weights on. Hey, Kat, you're putting weight on around your midsection. Your joints are achy. You feel quite puffy, quite swollen. You've got itchy ears. Just kind of dripping tap. You might not even have joined the dots and realised that that is menopausal symptoms. That's part of the menopause. You may just think, what is this? And this is why often so many women get misdiagnosed. They may go to the GP presenting with certain symptoms, and the GP doesn't acknowledge that is part of the menopause, and then may treat those symptoms, and it might be something completely different when actually it is all down to the hormones. It's going to happen to all of us. All women are going to go through the menopause. So the more information you have and understanding what you can do, the better. And I'm here really to get the conversation going, help you understand what's going on and exactly what you can do. So the biggest one, if you are menopausal, put it in the comments. Let me know if you've noticed any symptoms that you've actually put down to being perimenopausal or menopausal. Put them in the comments and do let me know. And I've made a little chart here on my whiteboard to understand that it's a bigger picture. We are looking at our health and fitness from a much bigger standpoint. So you may have noticed that your body now is not responding the same to exercise as maybe it did in your 20s or your 30s. You may feel that you are doing everything. I'm going to put air quotes up here. You might feel that you're doing everything right. You're eating all the healthy food. You're exercising regularly. You feel that you are healthy, you feel that you're doing all the right things, yet you're feeling fatigued, you're feeling that you've got brain fog, you may be waking up in the night with hot flushes, you are gaining weight around your midsection, you are gaining weight in areas that you've never gained weight before. Is that you? Put it in the comments if that's you. Anxiety, huge. You suddenly find that you're losing your keys, you can't find your phone, you're frightened to drive at night, you are worried about parking your car, you little things that maybe a few years ago you would have never even batted an eyelid suddenly are becoming huge. You're getting hot sweats walking into a room, giving a presentation, talking to people, meeting new people. You're feeling anxiety, you're feeling palpitations, you're feeling nervous, you've got butterflies in your stomach, and you think, hang on, this is not me. Is that you? Yes. Massive insomnia. Oh my gosh. The anxiety is such a weird one. Things that you would never bother you previously. Suddenly things start to really, you feel nervous, you feel anxious, you feel you're overthinking things. How many people here are something that they're going round and round and round in their mind over and over again? And it may be something that it's quite menial, quite small, but it's really bothering you and it's really having an effect on you. Who's that? My exact line. Restless legs, another one. Susie, oh my gosh, a long lost name there. Everything. I thought, I know there's quite a lot of fit pros on here as well. I know so many fit pros that really got to a stage where they couldn't stand up and teach anymore because they felt such anxiety and nervousness and Stace for getting dizzy, stuff like that. You're all putting them in. Keep putting them in. Now, officially, according to the NICE guidelines, there are 34, but there are way more than that. They're currently, looking at the new research, there are over 64 different menopausal symptoms. And they could be, as I say, dripping tap, or they could be huge, personality changing, life changing, where women have to give up work because they can't remember things, they can't remember names, they can't remember meetings, they are, are struggling with hot sweats, and it can have a huge impact on daily life, huge impact on relationships, your relationship with your significant other can be hugely affected by all of this. But there is good news. There is 100% good news. And I'm going to talk about sort of everything as a whole. So what we're trying to, and I'm trying to encourage women to do, is rather than tackling all or nothing. So we're all of a similar age. So as you know, I'm 52, you guys may be 40, you may be older than me, you may be my age or thereabouts. So we often find that you may have in the past been on diets, you may have been to the gym, you may have been on different regimes, you may class yourself as an all or nothing. Who in the comments here classes themselves as an all or nothing? You're on it, you're buying the organic stuff, you've ordered the protein powder, you've joined the gym, and for that first 3 or 4 weeks you're on to everything, you're doing the exercise, you're completely fully engaged, and then something happens. Some kind of stressful situations hit you, could be anything, big stress, small stress, stops you in your tracks, boom, you do a complete 180 and you go the other way. And your eating then goes from super clean, super healthy to absolutely SISHID. You do a complete 180. You're either all or nothing. And a lot of this is really because of how we've grown up with diet culture over the last 40 years. And it's reframing everything in menopause, because it's not just about the food, it's not just about nutrition, it's not about your exercise. I call this your big rocks. It's understanding everything plays a part now that we are menopausal. This is the time to really address everything. And I would suggest that you do it in general stages, just changing one habit at a time. What definitely will not work for the long term is that method. Changing everything tonight. Hear me, do this talk, and then suddenly you're on it, you're changing everything. No, let's just tackle one thing, all or nothing. Who else is an all or nothing? Tackling one thing at a time. So before we change anything, if you are struggling with all those different menopausal symptoms, the first thing to look at is sleep. Who has a good night's sleep? It's massive. If you're not sleeping well, if you're not getting a good 8 hours of sleep for the majority of the time, then that needs to be a habit that we work on. So that needs to be addressed. How can we improve our sleep? Because when you improve your sleep, that has a massive impact on all of your hormones, regardless. Your hormones will really, really appreciate you getting the adequate amount of rest. You're not going to have crazy cravings. You're going to have energy for the following day. Your personality will be a lot nicer when you are sleeping regularly. You're going to feel better. Your self-confidence is going to improve. It just has this huge cascade effect across all of our lives. So number one is, let's put that at the top of the list. Sleep. Hey, it's a hard one, but there are things that you can do that can improve your sleep quite quickly. I would suggest, first of all, is if you're eating late into the evening, your body needs a good 2 hours minimum with no food after your evening meal, so that all your food has been digested Because if you're eating late into the evening, you try and go to sleep, your body's trying to digest the food, and that has an impact on your quality of sleep. So I always say, close the kitchen. When you've eaten your meal tonight, close that kitchen. No more going back into the kitchen, opening the fridge, going backwards and forwards, having late night snacks. No, 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 because they have an impact on your sleep. So your habit this week might be, when you've had your evening meal, tidy the kitchen, everything away, close the door, put the sign on, do not go back into that kitchen. Do not. If you have eaten healthily during the day, you've had a good evening meal that's been balanced, you've got some vegetables, some protein, you've adequately hydrated during the day, you don't need to go back in and eat. So number one, make that a habit. So if there's one thing that you take away from this talk tonight, close your kitchen after your evening meal, because if you're munching into the evening, it's going to have an impact on your sleep. The second tip for your sleep is caffeine. So if you love a coffee, even if you are a seasoned coffee drinker, many menopausal, perimenopausal women become quite sensitive to caffeine. So if you're having coffee in the afternoon, maybe after lunch, it's going to be having an impact on your sleep. So maybe another habit that you could focus on just this week is to have your last cup of coffee, maybe lunchtime, 12 o'clock, make that one be the last one, and then switch to decaf or switch to fruit teas. Now, they're two habits, two simple habits that if you can say, okay, I'm going to focus on those for the next month, for the next 6 months, for the foreseeable future, and let's see what an impact that has on my sleep. That might really make a huge difference to your sleep. And if you're getting a better quality sleep, you're going to have more energy the following day, etc., etc. So there would be two habits, I would call that habit stacking, that you focus on. So if you were writing things down today, before you start cutting out carbs and stop eating potatoes and not having your mince pies over Christmas, focus on quality sleep and work on that for maybe a month. Let that be your mantra until the end of the year, let's say. Number one, because that will make a huge difference. Number two is stress. Oh my gosh, how can I even say that at this point in the year when we're all cramming so much into our lives? We're all so busy. We've all got so much going on. So what happens with stress? You have, as the three sex hormones are starting to deplete and decline, what happens is again, just putting this in really simple terms, the body starts to make cortisol. It increases the cortisol production. And cortisol is the fat storing hormone, and it's also the stress hormone. So cortisol gets you up in the morning, but cortisol is secreted through the bloodstream whenever you feel anxiety, stress, when you don't get enough sleep, when you eat quite a high sugary, high processed food, you get what's the word I'm looking for? The body elicits more cortisol. So if you are eating, sort of an average to not particularly high quality diet, you're going to get more cortisol. The body's secreting cortisol anyway as you're coming into perimenopause and menopause. If you're not sleeping, there's more cortisol. So you've got this huge influx of cortisol all the time through the bloodstream, and long-term studies show us that this is just not healthy, and it can lead to all kinds of disease in the future. So managing your stress. So what does that mean? You can't change the big stresses that we all have to deal with. As midlife women, we struggle with relationships and children and partners and, lots of outside big stresses that we all deal with that are part of life. That happens. But what can we do for the small stresses? What can we do on a daily basis when we feel those stressful feelings, those stressful situations? And it might be that you learn more breath work. It might be that you make a plan to go out every day and have a walk, going out with nature, whatever the weather's like, even if it's freezing cold tomorrow, go out and have a walk and make that part of your healthy habit. And that's going to help you bring down your cortisol levels. And with your cortisol levels, if you are putting fat on around your midsection, it tends to mean as well that you are maybe quite stressed and your body is secreting a lot of the hormone cortisol. So it might be that part of your stress management is that every day you make it a habit to go outside and have a walk, just 10 or 15 minutes every day. And that becomes part of your health and well-being habits, another one of your habit stacking. But do what works for you with your stress. If you feel stress when you have to answer an email, when you have to have a phone call, what can you do? What techniques can you do that can really help you manage the stress? Managing your stress is like training your bicep. The more you do it when you feel that stress, the more you maybe do some breath work, or you go for a walk, or you have some tools, you get better at managing stress, rather than letting stress completely overtake you. Because ultimately, stress will lead to disease, and stress definitely will lead to hormonal weight gain. So managing your stress is really important. So that's another part of your big rocks as well. Now, with your exercise and diet, oh my gosh, I could talk forever about this. Let me know, are you all exercising regularly? Do you do a class? Do you go to a class? What kind of exercise do you do? Pop it in the comments and let me know. And I'm getting a little bit of a red bar here, so I'm hoping that it's all okay. I'm just going to check and see that you can hear me. I think so. I think you can all hear me still. Just let me know in the comments. Give me a little thumbs up and let me know if everything's set. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you, Helen. Really appreciate that. With your exercise and diet, now, again, what we're looking for is for the long haul. We want to move away from that all or nothing. So going from nothing to then doing radical amounts of CrossFit or something really intense. It doesn't have to be like that. Oh, thanks, guys. Yes, Helen, that's brilliant. Now, that doing 10,000 steps a day is phenomenal, because it's going to help you manage your cortisol. It's going to, again, help your stress levels. You're going to get your steps in. You're going to be burning calories. You're going to be working your cardio. Phenomenal for health. Absolutely. Wow, Karen teaches 17 classes a week. That could be stressful. So with your exercise, maybe, 15 minutes, and that is all it needs to be. You could be doing 15 minutes at home a day. What we're looking for is consistency. So if 15 or 20 minutes a day is what you can manage, then let's do that. Make that a goal and do that. And that could be a mix of cardio. It could be a mix of strength training. It could be mobility training. It could be Pilates. It could be something different. The beauty of this now, as I'm doing this talk with you, you can do everything online in the privacy of your own home, which is phenomenal. Or if you're energized, going to a class or a gym, that works too. The key is consistency and something that you can manage for the foreseeable future, whatever that looks like to all of you. Now, if you have done CrossFit and you teach lots of classes and you run marathons, great, keep it going. I love it when I see on social media, menopausal women should be doing yoga and soft, relaxing activities. You've got to do you, but whatever you do is you do it consistently. Now, if you're struggling with painful joints, fatigue, lots of different symptoms, then joining a CrossFit class is not going to be suitable. But maybe doing 20 minutes of Pilates at home is going to be suitable for you. Brilliant. Do that. That's the key. Find something that you enjoy and stick to it consistently. Yeah, and include, like Kirsty says, walking the dog, going out for a walk, going for a leisurely swim, going on your bike for 20 minutes. All of that activity adds up, and that's important as well. But it's the consistency that we're looking for. Can you see we've got a bit of a pattern here? I'm trying to move you away from all or nothing. What can you do for the foreseeable future? Well, if you want to improve your sleep, you can stop drinking coffee after lunchtime. You can close your kitchen at 8 o'clock at night. You can work on your stress, and that might mean going for a walk every day. And choose some exercise that you can do consistently for the foreseeable future, whatever that looks like to you. And it might look different in different days, different weeks, but again, keeping a nice variety going, but consistency. And often people will say to me, I want to lose weight and I'm menopausal and, I want to lose weight for an event. When actually, I'd rather say to all of you, give yourself a year. These quick fixes, they're great. They get you on track, but ultimately it is doing something that you can manage. What does this look like for the future? Yeah, absolutely. Ballroom dancing, fit steps, all these things are brilliant because again, they elicit the happy hormones, your dopamine level, you get that feel good factor when you do them, and that's important as well. So again, it's doing what is right for you, but doing it consistently. Now, with your diet, and again, I don't want to go on too, time is running away so fast, but with your diet, I'm sure you've heard that as you come into perimenopause, your metabolic rate starts to slow down. Now, there's lots of things have been made of this, but ultimately, it doesn't slow down a lot. It's only a fraction, but it does slow down unless you are doing regular activity and maybe you're doing strength training. Strength training is really key for menopausal women. So strength training could be anything. It could be body weight training, it could be going to the gym, it could be using an exercise band, it could be kettlebells, something that is challenging your major muscle groups, your biceps, your triceps, your deltoids, your lats, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings. It can be a really simple routine, but you want to be feeling that you are training your muscles, your muscular strength and endurance. Because the muscle mass, if you don't use them, do that, your muscle mass starts to diminish. So your metabolic rate starts to slow down and your muscle mass starts to slow down and diminish as well if you don't train regularly. So that's important. And because if you're not training your muscle mass, then again, that has an impact on your metabolic rate, which is why exercise is so important. It's not crucial for perimenopausal and menopausal women. It's so important. Again, with strength training, it's going to help your bone density. And you may have read around osteoporosis. I'll give you a really scary stat now. 1 in 2 women post-menopause have a problem with osteoporosis or osteopenia. So basically, when you're having your periods, you're still laying down bone. So there's still time. If you're still having your periods, strength train, do the weight training, do the body conditioning, and the weight bearing exercise to keep those bones strong and healthy. When your periods have stopped, when your cycles stop, then that's it. You've got all the bone. There's no more going to be made then. So it's important again to keep the bones healthy because that's such a frightening start. It's massively frightening. So exercise, weight bearing exercise, walking. So the difference between weight bearing exercise, so you're loading your bones. So something like swimming, you're not loading your bones. So that's not going to be helpful for osteoporosis. But walking, cycling, weight training, dancing, all those type of activities are really important because they are loading your bones, and we want to keep doing that so that we don't become one of those stats. And often when I speak to menopausal women, they'll think osteoporosis and you're thinking of women who are, in their 80s and their 90s, and you probably all know people that fell down, broke a hip. But, it might not be your hip that fractures, it might be a vertebrae in your spine. And when you're postmenopausal, if these little fractures occur, again, they can have huge implications on exercise. They can have an impact on, when you're injured, how you feel, your self-confidence. So it's important to keep those bones really healthy. So exercise and diet, your metabolic rate will start to slow down. Now, if it's weight loss that's really bothering you, again, and when I speak to women, it's a big one. They've always felt, fit and healthy, go into menopause, start putting weight on, weight gain around the midsection. And it can have a massive impact on your self-confidence. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. And I think it depends on your dieting history and what works for you psychologically. So you might be the sort of person that can download something like MyFitnessPal. You can input all of your food that you're eating on a regular basis. You can see how many calories you're eating, and you can work out if you're in a calorie deficit. And if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to be losing body fat at the end of the week. Now, there's lots of pros and cons there, but let's just put it out there. Now, you may think, oh my gosh, I am not counting calories. That brings me back to the 80s. That takes me to a place I don't want to go. And you might not want to do that, but there are ways by doing what I call habit stacking. You can work on your sleep for a couple of weeks, and then your stress for a couple of weeks, and then your activity for a couple of weeks, and then your nutrition for a couple of weeks. And you can just take it nice and slowly, work on those habits and habits that you're going to change for the foreseeable future. And I can guarantee, and because I've worked with thousands of menopausal women over the last 34 years, for most women, when they start working on their sleep, when they manage the stress, when they exercise regularly, when they're mindful of their food, there's no good and bad food. There's nothing that you can't have. It's moderation. It's nothing. It's nothing that you haven't heard before. It's moderation, closing your kitchen, minimizing or not snacking, just focusing on having 3 healthy meals. And again, I'm not going to go into the specifics, but just an overview. 3 healthy meals. Most women, perimenopausal, menopausal, and post, will lose weight and they'll improve their health. So it just depends where you are. You might be the sort of person that wants to track. Brilliant. Track, do that. You might be the person that thinks, nah, this is just not for me. It's another stressor. It takes me back. I get obsessed. Da, 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 da. Great, let's work on habit stacking. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And then lastly, I'm just going to talk a little bit about HRT, because whenever I do mention HRT, it's like, Claire, you'll know this, it's like talking about Harry and Meghan. I put a post the other day on my Facebook. Did you watch Harry and Meghan? Oh my gosh, people were fighting in the comments. And it's the same with HRT. If I talk about HRT, you get some people that are, whoa, so anti-HRT. They've heard some of the myths. They think that HRT, or they've heard all kinds of things around it, and they're very anti-HRT. And then there's another body of people that HRT has changed their life, and that has really helped them with their menopausal symptoms. So just to put this into perspective, HRT just brings your hormones back up to the levels that they were. There's so many different HRT medication, and everyone is different. It's not, and actually a FitPro messaged me a couple of days ago and she said, oh, I've had to succumb to HRT. And I went, you haven't succumbed to HRT. It's perfectly fine to take HRT. For many people, it is exactly what they need, So inform yourself around HRT, and if it's for you, go and talk to your GP, see what your options are. Absolutely, Susie. See what your options are and then make an informed decision. But I always caveat this from a personal standpoint and from a health and fitness standpoint. Do everything you can for yourself. Improve your sleep, work on your nutrition. Make sure that you're hydrated. Make a list of all of the symptoms that you are experiencing over the next 3 months. There's so much that you can do to yourself, for yourself. And then when you do go to your doctor, you can say, look, I've been monitoring my symptoms, doctor. Here's what I've been struggling with. These are all the things. And you can actually have everything written down, and then that's going to help your doctor help you make the right decision for HRT or medication. There's other things, like thyroid issues, overactive thyroid, underactive thyroid. So many of thyroid conditions, they present very similar to menopause, and that would need to be a blood test. But if you've got all your symptoms written down and you can say to your doctor, look, I'm working on my sleep, I'm doing my exercise, I'm drinking my water, I'm doing all of the things, you can present at your GP, much more informed, and it's going to be a quick and easier process deciding what is right for you going forward. So don't rule HRT out at all. Inform, get as much information, and do as much as you can yourself for your health and fitness. Yeah, my mum would, absolutely. So then, like Samantha's saying, HRT isn't a route that she could take, but so then it's really digging into all of the health and fitness factors that we've just talked about. And I've just brushed, I've just touched the sides here with this, but it's just to let you know that there's so much you can do for yourself. There really is. Susie, many of customers a similar age, including me too, find asking for an appointment rather than doctors. They tend to be more sympathetic and knowledgeable. Absolutely. And I don't know if you're aware now that in the UK after COVID, lots of doctor surgeries now are in hubs. So wherever you live in around the UK, if there isn't a menopause specialist within your practice, then there will be one within the hub, or they should be. So you may have to knock on a few doors, you may have to insist with the nurse, you may have to have a few more conversations with the GP or with the nurses, that you need to see somebody who is up to date with all of the different HRT, medications, symptoms, and then they can advise you from there. And it is your right, is our right of our as a woman to have medical help if necessary. But the key always is, do all you can yourself with your health and fitness. You know, make a log, write everything down, and then go and see your GP from there, and then decide what's the best way forward for you and your health history. Any questions? I'm sure there will be. Let me know. Was that helpful? That's a really broad overview of menopause health and fitness, what you can do. The good news is you can do so much, for sure. And if you want any more information, just follow me on my pages. I do MenoFit programs all of the time. I've got a new one started in January. So if you need any help or you want to join one of the programs, definitely let me know. It's my nurse practitioner that's looking after me and got the bloods done. She's been brilliant. Dr. Romy advised me to Menopause Matters website. Brilliant. Absolutely awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me know any more questions and comments. And then I'll give you a special offer tonight, as we're all in the Amazing Jane group, that tonight there's 20% off completely all the site if you are purchasing 2 Amazing Jane outfits, and the code tonight is MENO20, and that's until 9:30 this evening. So there you go. I am with you now. Oh, thank you. Was that helpful? Thank you. We'll drop a link in Rachel here. Yeah, thank you. Cool, cool, cool. So any questions, comments, thoughts, do let me know. I could talk about this forever and a day, but I hope that's given you maybe a few interesting insights that you didn't know previously. And if I can help you in any way, shape or form, drop me a message. And thank you. Thanks, Daisy. Thanks, everyone. I hope that was okay. Yeah, and anything. And I will come back into the group and have a look at any questions that you might have, and I can go back in and answer them. All right, gang. Thank you. Very interesting. You're welcome. Thanks, Sharon. All right, guys. Good evening. Go and close that kitchen. No more. No more eating this evening. And I'll see you in the morning. All right, gang. Thanks, Nicola. Oh, you're very welcome, Janie. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Susie. Gosh, long time no see. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Karen. Ah, love your passion. Thank you, Deborah. There's so much we can do. Spread the word. The Menos are here. Ah, thanks, gang. Talk to you soon.